headlines we have on our daily newspapers. Today I have with me the Punch newspaper, I have the Daily Trust newspaper, the Guardian newspaper is also here with me, and also have This Day newspaper. Now let's start from the front page of the Punch newspaper, and we have this bold headline: mass abductions return, 145 missing in 4 days. That's on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. We have right along that headline: kidnapped Kebbi schoolgirls Zamfara Niger villages, search intensifies. Ayekooto PDP rehat, federal government pledges swift rescue. And we have this headline as well on the front page of the Punch newspaper. 2024 capital projects to 2026 budget plans. The story is on page 33 of the Punch newspaper. And we have this headline: inflation is 3-year low at 16.05%. The story is on page 33 of the Punch newspaper. PDP HQ showdown. Markindale Wiki factions hold rival next sessions today. That's on page 40 of the Punch newspaper. I was still reading from the front page of the Punch newspaper. On page 38, federal government resells burning bronzes repatriated from U.S. And on page 4 and 5, tension as Lagos Street, Hutchins stab Air Force officer. And on page 34, Lagos band subscription is 310 billion naira. And we have on page 28, Tinubu calls for corruption-free judiciary at Judges Conference. And we have right along that, President Bola Tinubu led the 2025 for Nigerian Judges Conference of the Superior Court in Abuja on Monday. Now to another newspaper. We are now on the front page of the Daily Trust, so we have this bold headline: dozens of schoolgirls abducted in Kebbi. And we have on page 14, federal government inches towards inflation target. And on page 11 of the newspaper, Tavraba Speaker, 15 PDP lawmakers defy to APC. And on page 7 of the Daily Trust newspaper, media veteran Dan Agbesi dies at 81. I was still reading from the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. And on page 6, make justice affordable, accessible to poor, Tinubu ties judges. That's on page 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And on page 6 as well, government killed brigade commander in Borno. And on page 24 of the Daily Trust newspaper, Cameroon opposition candidate declares South president-elect. And on page 25, 2 children die as fire gulls buildings in rivers. Now to another newspaper. We're now on the front page of the Guardian. We have this headline on page 6. Declining food prices, farmer naira, pull inflation to 15% national target. And on page 3 of the newspaper, mass defections in Dume predicts implosion in APC. And on page 3 as well, genocide U.S. lawmaker alleges Tinubu line protecting own interest. Still on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper, PDP crisis may consume 2 governors, others as factions fix parallel meetings. I was still reading from the front page of the Guardian newspaper. On page 4, Obasanjo fires a trade words over birthday fallout. And on page 5, media wordsmith Diana Agbesi dies at 81 as NLC, others mourn. And on page 30 of the newspaper, 16 terabyte PDP lawmakers joined the APC ahead of Canvas. And we're still reading from the front page of the Guardian newspaper. And on page 6, security fears deepened over school gas abductions, slaying general amid new assaults. And on page 15, NIMC issues 124 million NINs as poor interagency relations, store data harmonization. And now to another newspaper. We are now on the front page of this day newspaper. We have this bold headline: Akpabio Tinubu has placed search for police in Plateau as Center of National Security. And we have right there on that headline: President and Ministry already in states to restore peace, fostering intercommunal harmony. And another right there on that headline: Presidential aid meets Christian clerics, Fulani Mietiala community leaders. And another right there, still on that headline: community-based peace structure to stabilize North Central region. And the last rider on that headline: DSS nabs and other suspected arms supplier in zone. We have all the headlines on the front page of this day newspaper. NMDPRA: we will not allow Chad to take over downstream petroleum sector. And we have riders on that. Size FCCPC confirms non-indication Dangote tending towards fertilization. And another rider, NUPRC assures new regulations will soon yield results. And the last rider on that headline: energy expert gives insecurities carrying investment in pipelines. And on page 31 of the newspaper, MIDEB ENP achieved first oil in Nibon field to boost Nigerians' crude output. I was still reading from the front page of this newspaper. No more impunity, suppression of will to regulate shares Nigerians, PDP members. And now to the details of the stories. Yeah, welcome once again to Ayekooto Flashpoint on Ayekooto 88.3fm in Washington State. We are still on the English newspaper review, where we let you know what is going on in our country and around the world. Now we are into the details of the story, and this story is coming from the Punch newspaper. Osun 2026, INEC urges parties to conduct lawful, transparent primaries. The Resident Electoral Commissioner of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Osun State, Dr. Mutiu Agboke, has urged political parties in the state to conduct the primaries in accordance with the law. Agboke, in a statement issued on Monday in Osogbo, the state capital, by a public relations officer, Olurode Musa, said the lawful conduct of party primaries was critical ahead of the 2026 governorship election in the state. The Newsmind reported that INEC has fixed August 8, 2026 for the governorship election. The REC appealed to all registered political parties in the state to strictly adhere to the provisions of Electoral Act 2022 and the Commission's guidelines and regulations for the conduct of their primaries. The Commission emphasized the need for the conduct of free, fair, and peaceful primary elections that reflect the will of the party members as a panacea for the reduction of re-election litigation. We'll observe that primary elections have often been a source of re-election litigation, which can be avoided if parties follow the laid-down procedures and guidelines. INEC therefore urges all political parties to ensure that the primaries are conducted in a transparent, democratic, and peaceful manner. All aspirants should be given equal opportunities to participate. End of the quote. Ayekooto said that in line with the guidelines released by the INEC National Headquarters, political parties primary for the 2026 governorship election in Osun are scheduled to hold between November 24 and December 15. Now to another story. This story is also coming from the Punch newspaper and it's about Lagos offering free HIV testing for World AIDS Day. The Lagos State AIDS Control Agency has announced the commencement of a statewide free HIV testing services scheduled to run across all local government areas and local council development areas from 18th November to 1st December 2025. The initiative forms a major part of activities marking the 2025 World AIDS Day, aligning with LSACA's ongoing commitment to expand access to HIV testing, enhance early diagnosis, and strengthen linkage to care for residents across the state. LSACA on its X handle on Tuesday said its statewide exercise is designed to close existing testing gaps while deepening community awareness on HIV prevention, management, and stigma reduction. Trained counselor testers educate testing skills, condoms, and information, education, and communication materials have been deployed to ensure smooth implementation across all communities. Speaking ahead of the rollout, LSA's Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Folakemi Animashaun, emphasized the importance of early testing in achieving the state public health goals. As we approach the 2025 World AIDS Day, our priority is to ensure that every resident of Lagos has the opportunity to know their HIV status in a safe, confidential, and accessible manner, she said, and I quote, "Testing remains the gateway to prevention and treatment, and this statewide exercise underscores our commitment to safeguarding the health and well-being of all Lagosians." End of the quote. Animashaun noted that LSACA is working closely with development partners and community-based organizations to reach even the most undeserved communities. She encouraged residents to visit designated testing points in their local governments and LCDAs to access free, confidential services. You read more on that from the Punch newspaper. We are still reading from the Punch newspaper, and this is about the First Lady hygiene collective action to protect children from sexual abuse. The First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has called on Nigerians to ensure adequate protection for all children against sexual exploitation and abuse. She made a call in Abuja today to mark the World Day for the prevention of and healing from child sexual exploitation and sexual abuse 2025. The Newsman reported that the theme for this year's commemoration is strengthening the protection of children against sexual exploitation and sexual abuse through evidence-based policy making. Mrs. Tinubu urged parents and the wider society to prioritize the safety of children and make it a collective responsibility to protect them from any form of sexual abuse. According to her, as a nation, we must ensure that every child grows up free from fear and harm. I call on government agencies, civil society, traditional and religious leaders, parents, and young people to work together to create a protective environment where children can feel safe to thrive. It demands informed action guided by accurate data, research, and sound policies. May God protect all our children, Tinubu said. And I quote, "The World Day for the Prevention of and Healing from Child Sexual Exploitation and Sexual Abuse is observed annually on November 18. Now to another story. Before we go on to another story, Let's quickly put on the studio line for our listeners to contribute. The studio line remains the same. The studio line is 0706480 9896 0706480 9896. And the live your callers at the Wotan 081 1625 8428 081 1625 8428. While we await the call, let's continue with the story. And while we are reading the story, you're still free to call in for your contribution. The Anambra State Police Command has arrested a 20-year-old suspect in Umuezeji village, Achina, Agwata, local government area of the state for armed robbery and defilement. It was gathered that the suspect allegedly invaded the shop in the same community on October 29 with a locally made single barrel gun and a small axe and stole the sum of 30,000 naira. This was disclosed in a press statement issued today by the spokesman for the Anambra State Police Command, SP Tochukwu Ikenga. Ikenga added that the command will arraign the suspect in court on November 19, 2025. Inside, the suspect wore a red polo shirt, which he fashioned into a face mask and abducted a 13-year-old girl, took her to a nearby bush, where he forcibly had unlawful carnal knowledge of her. The statement in part, and I quote, operatives of the Anambra State Police Command attached to the State Criminal Investigation Department, Gender Unit, AUCA, with the assistance of the local community security outfits, arrested one Chibo Umegokwe, male, 20 years old, of Umwezeri village, Achina, Agwata local government on 11th November 2025. The suspect allegedly invaded the shop in the same community on October 29, 2025, with a locally made single barrel gun and a small axe. This storyline is still very much active and we're still waiting for your calls, for your contribution. And the storyline once again is 070 650 9896 070 650 9896. And the other line we are calling us at the one is 081 1625 8428 081 1625 8428. While we await the call, let's continue with this story. The United Kingdom National Health Service Counter-Fraud Authority has announced that it secured. Have a call. Let's pick the call.
Good morning, ma.
Hello, good morning, sir.
My name is Akim Safureyu Mashud Yelere from the Street Academy here from Nigeria.
You're highly welcome, sir.
Please, ma, I wish to discuss on the issue of abduction of the first female student in Kebbi City by the bandits. I would like to raise my highbrow on the abduction of the 25 female students in their hostel around to 6 a.m. that day. It is unhearable and even an eyesore to be seeing how these outlaws bandits were sneaking into their places of abode, commanding them to enter into bag-free ride vehicle to the bush or to the mission. Without fear help from the school local security or outfits around the visit to rescue them or help them. Those girls are helpless. This happening is a big shame for all our security outfits in that until the time they were escorted to the bush or no destination. And before the security men arrived at the scene, it was very late before the security. thereby making everybody in the area running a staff shelter to save themselves because nobody knew the next person to be kidnapped by these reckless and useless bandits who are threatening the security and the peace of the all well-meaning Nigerians. I hereby urge all our security men to find all possible means to locate all these students without any delay. God bless Nigeria and Sustainable City. Good morning, ma.
Good morning, sir. Thank you. Really appreciate your contribution. Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
afternoon. Seven happy today. From the local for Fantilino.
Okay.
It's very, very sad.
Hello. Oh, sorry, we lost the call. You can see call back the storyline is still very much active. And the storyline once again is 070 9896 070 9896. And the other line is 081 1625 8428. 081 1625 8428. Hello? Hello?
It is very repugnant that school children should be kidnapped. So the law enforcement agencies to deal their best to return those children to their parents.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate your contribution. We have a comment on our Facebook page. We have Oyelake Daoud Akamu. Science kudos to Elia. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. And we have Ali Abiodo Akoni. Well done. More knowledge, inshallah. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And we have Salami Taiwo. Well done, Ma. Thank you. We appreciate your comments. We have just 1 minute more to receive your calls for your contribution. And the storyline is still very much active within that 1 minute. The storyline once again is 070 9896 070 9896. And the other line is 081 1625 8428. 081 1625 8428. We're very sorry we won't be able to pick more calls. We've already exhausted our time. And this is where we are going to draw the curtain of today's edition of Ayekooto Flashpoint on Ayekooto 88.3fm, Iwo, Osun State. Till tomorrow, we'll be having another edition of Ayekooto Flashpoint on Ayekooto 88.3fm, Iwo, Osun State. I'm Amina Imran. Thank you for listening and stay tuned for the exciting program.